Here we go. Here's a story. I've got a story. This one is an 8th month 80. Now, I'll start with, for all the 40 series nerds like myself out there, this one's a little bit different. HJ45. Now, us nerds know that in the 8th month, 1980, is the start of the HJ47. Well, we found an 8th month 80 HJ45. So in that 1 month, on the build plate in Australia, we've now seen that you can get a HJ45 and a HJ47 in the same month. How unique's this? This one's Gary's. Gary's up from Victoria having a visit and has just found Mr. Landcruiser, got recommended to come up here for some parts. So this is set up as a tourer. This is a real touring rig. I'm sure Gary's going to do a spot of fishing and doing a bit of touring up this side of Australia, but while he's out and about, he's popped into Mr. Landcruiser. The boys are inside helping him with some genuine parts, and I've got to say, Mr. Landcruiser has a brand new website. It's up and running. Still got some data to enter, but go and have a look. Type in Mr. Landcruiser, have a look at our website, give us some feedback, because it's brand new. The shop online, get all your genuine stuff, all your products for your 40s, your 60s, some 70 series stuff, aftermarket stuff, like visors and the McKinnon's gear, so it's genuine, it's everything. But that's the website. This is Gary's 45. Now this car, we'll start, it's got a bit of a story. It's 2 owners. Gary's the second owner, it's first owner, but it's always been a Victorian vehicle. So this one has lived its whole life in Victoria and it's visiting sunny Queensland. Now Gary's owned this for about 31 years, definitely over 30 years. This has been a man's rig, a man's daily, a tourer, a 4-wheel drive, everything. So he really uses this one. And he's done a lot of building to this himself. So we're going to go right through it. We'll start on the outside, look at the tray, look at underneath. Heavily modified, this one. Up the front, the bull bar, personally made by Gary himself. Hands-on made the bull bar, which has a set of LEDs and has a set of halogen. You'll note 3 aerials. Very common, starting to see a lot now. 2 UHFs for multiple reasons, and the stereo is all up the front as well. Very cool. Also on the outside of this is really cool. It's got the Bulldog. Now, Gary also owns a 1977 R model Mac. Very, very cool. He's into some just cool stuff. But that's not the only truck accessory. This is off of Kenworth. So that visor, very cool. Gary's fabbed it up to fit off of Kenworth. That looks the part. Also on the outside, this is the original color. This vehicle is all steel. So it's all original. It has been in an accident, we'll get there. It's got the Donaldson on the other side. And now being a 2H, this has got a 2H. I'll open the bonnet and go more into detail. It's got the Donaldson, it's got a 2H, it's got all different running gear in there. So it's no longer a HJ45, it's merged into a 47. While we're still on the outside, we've got the sun raisers and some muddies, some MTs, Yokohamos on there as well. A set of them. They look really cool. Fit the outfit. Now, while we're still on the outside, it's got the big shiny stacks. It's a bit of a truck, this thing. It's got the big shiny stacks, but look at the box. Before we go into the bonnet, I want to talk about this box on the back. This box on the back, Gary and his son made it themselves. Did all the TIG weld and everything. Made the whole setup themselves. I'm going to pop one side open. Now this thing is set up for touring. This thing, if we have a look at some of the features inside, it houses the fridge. It houses where all of his power is. Now this thing also, when it comes to power, underneath the tray, there is 3 batteries. So it's got the dual setup, or it's got the, what do you call it if it's not dual? It's got the tri setup, the triple setup. I don't know, I'm making that up, but it's got 3 batteries. It's got bedding in there, shelving just behind my head here. It's got shelving for bits and bobs up there. It's also got, it's got containers that are fixed to the floor to carry all his bits and pieces, but it's also got fuel. It's got a 100-litre fuel tank in there, so it's just a simple switch. Once one's low, underneath here, flick a switch, and you've got another 100 litres of storage, so would have made the drive to Queensland a lot less stops. and a very good place to put it. Another stainless steel item. On the top of the custom built box is solar power and also a dual awning either side, which is very, very cool. That's the outside. It's really, really set up for touring. Now, underneath this, the drive chain, it's got the 2H now, it's got the 5-speed now, it's got a lot more going on. So I'm going to pop up the bonnet and we'll go and have a closer look at underneath. Okay, what I didn't mention in the tray, it's got LED strip lights as well. So it's set up for camping. I did mention the bedding, so you just on tour, you can camp in there, sleep in there. And I didn't also mention, while I'm on the subject of LED, there's LED headlights in there. Make a world of difference for touring too, compared to what Toyota used to offer. Now under the bonnet, we've all seen this Donaldson. It leads to the 2H. This one is out of a 75 series. So the story behind this vehicle, now I did mention Gary has owned it for 31 years. Well, in that time, it's been in a car accident and repairable write-off. You can fix these old girls. So this one has had a chassis swap. So this one's now got the 40 series, the 47 chassis. The good thing about that, this was an 8th month 80. So it already had the fuel tank inside, or beg my pardon, it had the fuel tank underneath. So that made going to a 47 chassis. The only thing that changes is the eyelets on the suspension. This cab from a 45 drops straight on to a 47, makes the conversion very, very easy. In its life, this is its 3rd engine, its 2nd 2H. This one is from a 75 series. So this one, the 75 gave him a lot of fruit. So let's go through it. That's why you see here the air compressor bracket. You're not going to find them on too many 47s. This one's out of a 75. This one's turboed. It's also got the 75 5-speed in there. So now it's got the turbo 5-speed, and let's not stop there. It's got the 75 series up the front here. We've done the 75 series power steer conversion, utilising the 75 parts, and also in the 8th month 80, we didn't have disc brakes. So now this one's got the disc brake upgrade. So she's got all the fruit under there. So it's got the auxiliary filters, being the water separator, the fuel one, and a catch can. Otherwise, it's now looking like a 47 with that 2H in there. Nice little fit. When you do conversions, this one's had the chassis swap, but the good thing about the 40 series chassis itself, don't matter which chassis you got, the 12HD, the 2H, the 2F, the H, the 1F, they all fit the same chassis, the same chassis mounts. There's no alterations needed. So when it comes to doing swaps, it just makes life so much easier. But that's under the hood and under the vehicle. She's running really nice. Okay, I've said it a million times. I'm gonna say this again. The rougher vehicles, the well-traveled vehicles are my favorite, and the easier to do walk-arounds for the big reason. I respect restos. I respect that some guys, they do it to go and have a latte and a coffee. That's cool. I wish I had a spare cruiser that was mint that I could bring out on Sundays, but I don't. I really dig that. But when I do walk-arounds on those cars, it's a shiny 40 series that looks like a factory. They don't have a great deal of character yet in their life. But this one has a fuck ton of character for multiple reasons. Now, Gary drives this thing. It's a man's rig. It's his daily. He's custom it over many, many years to have it the way it is. The hood lining's fallen on my head. I'm sure Gary doesn't give a stuff because he gets in and uses it. It's not there to go and compare latte stories. This thing's the real deal. So it's really rough. Fully my favourite. A lot of guys that drive them, touring them, have fun in them, or building them to tour, or building them to be a tradies vehicle. They know what I'm talking about. They inside this beautiful vehicle is it's dusty, hay above my head. It's got a console that looks like it's been there since day dot. So it's done its job for 30 years and it's still doing its job. It cases a stereo, a UHF, and a parcel shelf, and it's got a nice little tint of brown carpet. We go down to the dash. The dash has got the other UHF. These UHFs are really old and retro, so obviously picked good brands. that you don't have to replace every 5 years. They're still working hard. It looks to me like we've got, I don't know what it is, some sort of holder. I would rejig that to hold my stubby. And then on the dash itself, it's got a whole heap of switches. Nothing tells me what those switches does, because they don't have to. Gary will know this car like the back of his hand. He'll know what every switch does. There's nothing really modified in here. Behind the seat, we've got a fire extinguisher. The seat I'm sitting on is actually been raised off the ground. Gives you, it's like sitting on a stool. Gives you a bit more drop, a bit more leg room, a little bit more space in here. So he's utilised the factory seat to do that with. It's got someone's custom the gear knob, very cool. Again, it's got a bit of a truck theme with the Kenworth and the Mac parts and the stick. It's got some old gauges. One says oil pressure. It's got some switches. Again, these are they don't need labels. Gary knows exactly what they do. And the rubber mat, and that rubber mat serves a purpose. It actually fits in quite well. Maybe not as pretty as a Noble or what have you, but it's really thick. It will stop the heat and probably muffle a bit of sound as well. That's the interior of this car. She is a bloody beauty. I wish Gary was hanging around so I could borrow it for a few days and go for a bit of a tour. I'd like to take this up to Fraser Island, Gary. So that's this walk around. What a bloody doozy. It's been fantastic having Gary and his HJ45 here. Right now, again, the boys are talking weather strips and stuff. The doors, Baileys, felts, weather strips, new bonnet hinges. This is stuff that Mr. Landcruiser does genuine. If it's genuine and it's sellable, compare us. I'll tell you, get quotes elsewhere, bring those quotes to us. You know where it's at. Mr. Landcruiser's got you covered. Gary realises this, so while he's up from Victoria, we're decking it out with some new weather strips and other genuine gear. Such a pleasure having this vehicle up here. Now this is an 8th month 80 HJ45 with a 2H.